Hi everyone, it's Alex again. I just wanted to make a short video showing a new feature that we've added as part of the 0.36.1 release in ZenML. And I know, you're probably sick of seeing ChatGPT, OpenAI things, or at least you certainly had enough of them on your social media and news timelines. But anyway, this is just one little small feature that we added in the last release based on something that came out in the last release actually. So in the last release, we added success and failure hooks. So these are custom bits of code that can run depending on whether a pipeline or a step succeeds or fails. And one little use case that we thought was kind of neat was basically to pipe the traceback of your exception or whatever failure was raised for a step into ChatGPT in order to then get a suggestion on how to fix it. So I just wanted to give like a little example of how that might work. So we've got a training pipeline here. This is just the SciPy example from our examples, because SciPy is an amazing open source Python library, one of my favorites actually. And all it does basically is very simple machine learning routine, imports some data, does some things to it, trains, runs some predictions. And in this vector step, I've accidentally added a subtle error because I didn't know any better, let's say, and I've done something, and so this pipeline is going to fail. So if you ran this normally, it would just give an exception, and that's fine. But maybe your pipeline is scheduled, and you're not sitting directly behind it when it's running. So what you might want to do is add one of these failure hooks. So we now added this OpenAI hooks. Here. So we now added two specific hooks, one that runs on the standard ChatGPT 3.5 model, and the other which runs on GPT-4, if you happen to have access to it. So now you can pass this into a step on failure. There you go. So now we've added that hook, attached it to the step, so it should run. And I should say these failure hooks require you to have an OpenAI key saved in your ZenML secret store. So if I just list my secrets, it won't show the secret itself, but it just needs to be with the name OpenAI and with the key name API key. All of this is described in our documentation. But if we now run this example, you'll see what happens. Will take a few seconds to start up. But basically, at the point where the exception is encountered in the user code, it's going to then, well, it's going to tell you that an exception has been raised and the hook is running when we get to it. Here we go. Detected failure hook, now it's running. So now it's sending it, it's assembling the various tokens, getting the rich traceback, thanks to Will McGugan's rich library. And it's piping all of that to the OpenAI API. And then what should happen in a second? It'll still raise the exception. And in fact, the error was quite verbose and probably would have given you enough to deal with things. But if we go over to Slack, you'll see that failure hook notification step has failed. You get the full metadata around the exception of which pipeline and so on. And here you get OpenAI's suggestion, and in fact, it's the same thing. It's that we've specified in our code a float 1.55 for the max df instead of an integer, and it suggests possible options for what you could do to change this. So just a nice little convenience feature, maybe interesting to play around with, possibly something that's interesting for scheduled pipelines in particular. I could see a use case for this. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this little example, and we'll have more generative text fun and goodies coming up next week. So stay your eyes peeled for that.